said you applied to Western Carolina University as your last school. Which other schools did you apply to before that?
Grand Valley State
Okay.
University.
Yeah.
I applied to
What was it about the school that made you still apply to the school?
send, and I know that the deadline has already passed, so I needed to send a specific email. For me, I updated my CV because
Okay.
it's an
Different. Yeah,
office, not
exactly. Yeah. The
it's not
program.
for admission. This is for,
Exactly.
let's say, a
Yeah.
job. And one thing that doesn't help we Ghanaians is that we don't do reflection at all. So we
Mm.
do a lot of things, but we don't pay attention to them. And then the second aspect is that I respond to emails, international prospective students who email our international office expressing
Mm.
interest in our program. I did a lot of things right.
Mm.
When I went after my denial in Cote d'Ivoire,
Yeah.
because with that background, I was going to read communication.
Let's say I've been trying for 2 years and all I get is admission. You got about 30 admissions.
Yeah,
What will you recommend? What do you think I have to work on? What do I have to change and what do I need
yeah.
to do
So
to get a GA?
if I'm going through the process again, I think I will get full fund.
Mm. All right, before we start, consider subscribing to the channel. This helps me so much. Thank you. Richard, you are currently doing your master's in higher education. When did the journey begin and how did you end up in your current school?
Okay, so it has been a very long journey. I mean, I started applying to American universities as far back as 2022, where
Mm.
I completed my undergraduate degree in University of Cape Coast in October 2021. So right after graduation in December 2021, I started applying for my transcripts and the, and making inquiries about recommendations and all that to start the study abroad journey. I did my national service at the University of Cape Coast, and so I had that time, that space to request for all these documentation.
Yeah.
And so, starting in January 2022, I started turning in applications, but I have little experience. I had little
Yeah.
guidance because I was doing it by myself. And so I did a lot of mistakes here and there, but I applied to a number of schools, especially free schools, and got a lot of admission in 2022. And I also got funding. I remember I got University of Georgia State University. Sorry, yeah, I got assistantship, but it was so low. I mean, it was 40%, and so I had a deficit of over $40,000. So I didn't even proceed with that.
Mm.
I didn't know that I could have proceeded with that. I thought that I had to prove, the
Yeah.
financial spreads and all that,
Yeah.
and so I just ignored it. I get some partial funding, but I applied to like Northeastern. I didn't know it was a big university. Georgia State. I didn't know it was a big university. So I apparently applied to a lot of big universities without knowing them. So when I got to know the financial aspect, it really made me down. So I didn't even proceed to apply for the visa. And so I also applied again in from August 22 so that I can get admission
Yeah.
in 2023 come. And so I applied to a number of schools and I also applied to most free schools.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
got some partial fundings and then I proceeded to, apply for the visa. Unfortunately, I got denied in Cote d'Ivoire in 2023, June 2023. I applied. I used Texas Tech University. I wanted to do communications. I got partial funding. Unfortunately, on that interview day, I think we were like over 20 Ghanaians, and to the best of my knowledge, only two people got approved. Apparently, they
Wow.
had a lot of funding than I did. And then one thing I observed was that I mean I was asked like 8 questions, which was not normal because most of the people that got denied were asked some were asked even only 1 question, some 2 questions, and then the few just denied them, cut in and just denied them. But
Yeah.
me, I got opportunity to have like 8 questions, so I was very positive that I'll get
Yeah.
approved.
You were very close
And
actually. You were very close.
yes, so she actually asked me all the questions that she could ask me, including the funding aspect and everything. I answered everything. So it took like 2 minutes for her to, I
Wow.
don't know, she was just typing. I was
Yeah.
just there standing there, like 2 minutes. She was discussing something. I was just there, and then she just reached out to me and she said, unfortunately, I cannot approve your visa
Wow.
at this time. You want to apply for the next time. So as I was going out, and so strangely, the door is always heavier, especially at Cote d'Ivoire when you get when you get denied. So I couldn't open the door. So the security man was opening the door for me. So as the security man was opening the door, the next person had already got denied. So that,
Wow.
I mean, that was so like in seconds. I stood there for like
Wow.
4 minutes.
Wow,
So
man.
when I got out, the other person who got one of the person who got approved was actually in the room and saw me, and so she told me that, Richard, you were almost. I mean, she said she couldn't believe that I got denied because she listened to my conversations and I
Mm,
inspired her a lot because I was so on point. And so she took cue from my answers and she
yeah.
got approved. I think she was asked
Wow.
over 10 questions also. So it made her really prepared very well.
Mm,
Yeah, so I then when I came, I was very sad. I mean, traveling all the way to Cote d'Ivoire, you know,
yeah.
at my age and how small I am,
Yeah.
coming back, and I used all my service money to do this application
Charlie.
to travel. I mean,
Charlie.
I had a lot of money by then, but I spent all of them on these applications. I got back. It was very tough, and I started a master's in Ghana. So I went back to continue my education. But then I still had that hope that I should push forward. So I submitted applications again. This time I paid.
Mm,
I paid a lot of the, I mean, the fees instead of
mm.
uh, relying on the
The
free
free
schools. I
application
just
fees.
paid
Yeah.
most of them because I knew that I have to sacrifice to get whatever I want.
Mm,
And so, but unfortunately, still I couldn't get funding. I did business Bachelor of Commerce. So I
mm.
majored in human resource management. So I was applying a lot of business. I mean, I was overall best student, business student in
Wow.
my department, doing TA.
Wow.
So I wanted to do business administration, and so
Mm,
but I got to realize that most of these courses require
yeah.
GRE, and I didn't
GMA
want to
GR.
write
Yeah.
GRE.
Yeah.
So I got admission. I have gotten admission to over 30 to 40 schools in America, but all of them I get partial funding. And then
Man.
unfortunately for me, all the schools that I get have a huge there's a cost of attendance.
Yeah.
And so even if I get partial funding, I will get like 30K, 40K deficit.
That's a lot.
So I engaged with a lot of people. I read a lot and I found out that, oh, there's this program, higher education student affairs, that
Mm,
seems to be an education program, but technically it's a practitioner program. So it's more or less like administrative
mm.
program than, I mean, education than teaching.
Oh, okay.
And so I read a lot about the program to see and then I found out that, oh, me being a teaching assistant, supporting students, mentoring students, advising students, actually, I'm doing student
Yeah.
affairs work much more. So
That
I
makes
read into
sense.
it and I started submitting application. So Western Carolina University was the last school I applied.
Mm.
I think I applied it in somewhere in March where the deadline has already passed.
Wow.
So I emailed the coordinator, expressed my interest, told the coordinator that I'm a teaching assistant. I mentor students, I advise students. So I sent a very specific email to the
Yeah.
coordinator. And then I got a reply that Richard, you can go ahead and apply.
Wow.
And once I got a reply, I think I got a reply on Friday. And then Monday, I submitted all the documentations. Fortunately, I had WES already because I've gone through a lot. So I've done WES
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
And so I submitted all the necessary documentation on Monday and then email the coordinator that I've submitted everything and I'm looking forward to an
What about the
interview.
recommendation letter?
Yeah. Yes, so I was teaching assistant at that time,
So
and
it was
so I
easy.
had opportunity to speak with the
Okay.
professors. It's not
Okay.
easy, even as a teaching assistant, you don't get that
Yeah.
recommendation easily at all.
Yeah.
But I had a very, good relationship with my professors,
Mm.
because I was assisting them. I was not only assisting my professor, but other professors too. When I get a time, I go and assist them. So they knew me.
Okay.
So I told them
Nice.
all about it, and then they all helped me to apply to submit the recommendation on that
Mm.
same day. I responded to the email on that same day, telling the program coordinator that I've submitted all the necessary
Mm.
documentation. And then he replied and told me that yes, I've seen that you have submitted everything, and then we will proceed with your application. So I think in the space of 1 week, he scheduled me for an interview. admission interview, an interview with them. And then on the same day, I got my admission. And then they scheduled me for another interview with Assistantship. And unfortunately, that was where MTN said that they are having issue with their fiber optic cable under the
Wow,
sea,
Ghana.
whatever. So the first office was a career development. I couldn't interview with them because there was no network. I mean, it was
Wow,
terrible.
wow,
And
wow.
so I didn't get that opportunity. And then my second option was international office. Fortunately, because I was a teaching assistant, so I used UCC Wi-Fi, and it was not in the evening. I think it was around 6 p.m. So I waited and used Wi-Fi and have a very nice interview with them. And subsequently, I got the assistantship.
Nice,
And
nice.
then
Congrats.
with my experience all over, when I got denied in 2023, I was sad. But when I got the motivation to apply again, the first thing that I did was not even an application. I bought my visa and then scheduled a date with my old documentation. So I scheduled a July date with my old documentation for the next year before I even started with the application. Yeah. So it gave me that space. So when I got the assistantship in May, I had already had date in July.
Mm, nice.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, there are a few questions. So, the master that you started in Ghana, did you finish that?
Oh no, I finished with the coursework, left with thesis, which I'm still yet to wrap my head around. I don't know yet, but I'm contemplating if I have to do a step down instead of MPhil. Maybe I will go in for an MSc because I had so much to do here,
Yeah.
and I don't have that space to continue. But I wish I could continue, but then
S-
you know,
So, what do you mean is you no longer want that degree, right?
not necessarily. In as much as I want that degree, I think I will not get time to do the actual
Yeah,
thesis.
yeah,
So perhaps I may consider stepping down to MSc
yeah.
or MBA so that I don't get to write the thorough thesis
Mm,
as other if it's not possible to, well, I if I have to forfeit it, I mean I will, because I'm doing masters here, and with this
mm,
masters here I can also continue to do a PhD. So
mm.
yeah.
So, when you started your current masters, was it what you expected in terms of the curriculum? Because you said that it's similar to what you were doing already, right? So when you came, did you find out if like have you realized that it's the same or it's totally different from your expectations?
Oh, is totally different. I mean, in practice,
Yeah.
in career-wise, it may look similar because working as a teaching assistant is all about student support,
Mm,
and student affairs is all about student support. But I mean, the masters here is entirely different. The approach, how the lecturers approach, even student, it's very engaging, very interactive. You have to read and read. Unlike Ghana, that you just sit down for the lecturers to lecture. Here, you have to. I mean, participation counts, and then they grade participation. So you have to read a lot, and there are a lot of readings too. I don't know why, but
yeah.
there are a lot of modules that I need to read. So the approach is different, and the assignments are very practical. I would say sometimes I have to go and observe an activity and come and write a paper about it.
Yeah.
This is not what I
It's
was
not it's
used
not
to
the
in
usual
Ghana.
thing, yeah. In Ghana,
Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes you just go and observe, come and write a paper about it, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So it's different, but but it engages me a lot. It makes me a critical thinker a
Yeah.
lot, which I like about it. Except
Yeah.
that there's so much things to do.
Yeah. You said you applied to Western Carolina University as your last school. Which other schools did you apply to before that?
Okay, so I applied to Grand Valley State
Okay.
University.
Yeah.
I applied to I'm coming. I applied to Georgia Southern
Mm,
University. I applied to um let me check. Ohio State University.
mm,
I applied to University of Utah.
mm,
I applied to um this
How
school
many
this
how many schools in all?
Okay, I applied to almost 10 schools.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
very adamant.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I applied to almost 10 schools.
And
Yes.
and how much did you spend in the application process, including the ways and all those things? How much, like, if you can remember, kind of
If
an
I,
approximate
because
amount?
it's span over 2 years.
Yeah,
What I can remember is in only 2023, I spent
yeah.
like 15,000 on the application
15,000
and visa
cities.
processing, everything.
15,000 cities, right?
Yes, in
So
2023.
so
So
that's like what, $1,007, is it?
yeah, like at that
Oh,
time it was around thousand, like around, it was around like $2,000 because I
wow.
started applying when the dollar was like six cities
Yeah,
or so. Yeah,
yeah. At some point, yeah. Wow.
and the most difficult aspect is that, I mean, at the time that it was, the city was dropping so strangely. Sometimes
Yeah,
you get the application fee, you start applying, and let's say $70. So you have estimated that, oh, you'll be paying like, let's say, 800 cities or 900 cities. By the time you would apply everything or you're ready to
yeah.
submit and pay, the dollar has already moved.
Wow,
And sometimes you have to add additional a lot of money for the application, which is not so good.
wow.
I remember
Yeah,
when I was doing West, that was the time that the dollar was increasing at a abnormal rate.
yeah.
And so we were two colleagues. So he submitted and paid for the West, I think 2 weeks before I did. And within the 2 weeks, the difference was huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, how did you pay the application fees and the WES evaluation fee? Like, did you have somebody in the US who was paying for these things for you? Student get
So
asked me some of these questions. I haven't done this in so many years, so it's like I don't
yeah.
remember.
So
Wow.
when I started initially, I had a friend who paid for me. He had a Visa card.
Mm,
My best friend Jeffrey, but he came here in, I think, in January 23.
mm,
So when he came and he told me that, Richard, I gotta be frank with you. You have to get a Visa card because, I mean, you can't always rely on me because time difference and all that. So just go to the bank and get a Visa card. So he
mm,
encouraged me, and then I just went to the GCB and get a Visa card and use my Visa card and pay as well. Because, I mean, getting someone to pay for you is good, but then because of the dollar fluctuations,
yeah,
the people it's time to pay for you because they are not too sure because they you may think that, oh, let's say 1,000 cities is okay, but by the time that you are paying, perhaps the dollar has gone up,
yeah,
and then he has to, I think at a point in time I have to, add another extra money for the person because when the person paid for me, my friend paid for me. The receipt that came up, I mean, there was a difference. There was a difference that I
yeah.
had to pay. And so he told me
Wow.
that, look, if you are paying yourself, this may seem very awkward when your friend is telling you this because you don't tend, I mean, trust issues and all that because it's about money, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I would encourage folks to get their own, Visa card and pay
yeah.
at their own pace.
Wow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you applied to Western Carolina University in March, even though the deadline had passed. What was it
Yeah.
about the school that made you still apply to the school?
So apparently, I had a friend who got admission to the same program here
Mm,
a year before, but he opted for because he got three assistantships. So because this school doesn't give full funding for fees in terms of fees,
mm,
he went to another school. So he recommended that if I want to read that program, I should apply for this school.
mm.
And then I went to their website and I saw that the school is in the mountains. Yeah, it has a very beautiful campus, very beautiful
Uh,
campus. There are a lot of hikings here and there. There are a lot of rivers across the school and all that. So I said, okay, UCC is also, close to the Atlantic Ocean, which has a lot of trees and all that.
yeah,
So I saw the similarities and I said, okay, let me apply. And one thing that got me apply is that when I sent the program coordinator an email, I mean, it didn't take an hour for the program coordinator to respond to my mail,
nice.
knowing
Yeah,
very well that the deadline has passed. So this got
yeah,
me really interested. I said, oh, wow, okay, I think they are good.
yeah. What was special about your email? How did you craft it?
Okay. So with the 2 years of, I mean, experience, applying and all that, I needed to send, and I know that the deadline has already passed. So I needed to send a specific email.
Yeah.
So I started by introducing myself and the work that I do and the support that I do in terms of student support services,
Mm,
mentoring student, advising student, making sure that I really present myself in a way that the professor will see me as a potential candidate.
nice.
And so when I did that, I acknowledged that the deadline has passed, but I just got to know this school and I really am interested in the program. And
Mm,
so if there's any way that I could be considered, I
mm,
will be very grateful for the opportunity that's given me. And so once I know that I presented myself in a way that seemed very potential candidates,
yeah.
I knew that when the professor read my email, definitely he may consider my candidature.
Yeah. Did you ask about finding in your email?
So I put it in a very strategic um, way
Yeah.
that I read about the program and they said that once you get admission, there's a guaranteed funding. But then because the deadline, priority deadline has passed, I needed to ask. So after everything, I made inquiries that
Mm,
um, if I am to be considered, is there a possibility that I will also be considered for assistantship opportunities to offset some of my tuition and my fees
yeah.
as an international student? This is, funding is very important for my academic progress.
Yeah.
Yes, and then the reply was spot on. It touched all the inquiry that I made.
Mm. So you got admission and then you didn't get any funding from your department, right? That's why you had to look elsewhere. Is that what happened?
For this school,
Yeah. Your current school.
so yeah, so higher education student affairs program mostly they partner with Division of Student Affairs, and
Mm,
so the assistantship does not necessarily come from the department,
okay.
but they have partners, so they will connect you with those departments. And so for me, when I got the admission, the program coordinator sent me an email, and then I had to also show my preference in the application for the assistantship that I want that suit my interests.
Mm,
And so right after admission, the coordinator sent me an email that this is your first preference. So I've connected you. So the email was copied to the office. That is the career development. That was my first choice.
mm,
Was copied to them that this is our admitted student and is interested in your assistantship. So schedule an interview with the person and so they scheduled an interview with me. And so I handle for that the program doesn't come in. I will handle that interview with the let's say the career
okay.
development
Okay.
independently. So
Okay.
if I get accepted, then that is my assistantship.
Mm,
So because of MTN, obviously I didn't get
yeah.
to interview very well. So after that,
Yeah.
they sent an email to the coordinator that's behind the scene, telling them that they have denied my
Mm,
my candidature.
yeah.
And so the coordinator sent me an email connecting me to my second choice, that is
Okay.
international office, to tell
Mm,
them that I mean to do that
wow.
introduction. And then they interviewed me and I was able to get that funding.
Mhm. Do you remember what you were asked during the admission interview?
Yeah, I quite. So they will start by saying, like, introduce yourself and why this program and why this school. That's the first question that they asked me. And then some of the questions will be like, tell me about your experience. What skills are you bringing to the school?
Oh.
They also, because of my program emphasizes on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So they
Mm,
will I definitely ask you, what is your experience with diversity, equity, and inclusion? Have you contributed? How do you contribute to diversity, equity, and inclusion? And so they will ask you about that. And then I think they will ask you about also what are you bringing to the school
mm,
in terms of your experience, what perspective are you bringing on board,
mm, wow.
and why this program specific, why this department specific as well.
Mm, wow. And how many people were interviewing you?
Anyway, later the professors.
I missed that. The line was breaking. I don't know why. If you can take that. Like I asked you how many people interviewed you.
So I was interviewed by five people as a panel.
Okay.
So there were one student, current student, the program coordinator, and I think two other professors. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, and when you got the invitation to be interviewed for the graduate assistantship position,
Yeah.
did you submit a CV or something to
Yeah,
them?
they requested for my CV.
Okay, I get students asking me about whether they should send the same CV or not. Did you change your CV or you submitted the one that you had already?
Okay, so for me, I updated my CV because
Okay,
it's an
different. Yeah,
office, not
exactly. Yeah,
um,
the
it's not
program.
for admission. This is for, let's
Exactly.
say, a
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
So I updated my CV, and fortunately, they included in the email that if I want to update the CV, I'm welcome to do so.
Mm,
And so
that makes
I
sense.
tailored the CV to make it more.
Uh, I have no idea what's going on with the network. So you said you tailored the CV to make it. Hello, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, you said you tailored the CV, and then that was where I lost the connection.
Yeah, so I tailored the CV to the office specific because I
Okay.
knew that this is a job, like more or less like a job interview.
Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
I, instead of, the normal CV that I'll make for admissions, I made this
Yeah.
one a resume
Yeah.
highlighting my experiences.
Mm, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And what about the assistantship interview? How many people were in the panel, and what was the kind of questions they asked you?
I think there were 5 people.
Mm,
Yeah. I think all the staff that is working at the office of global at the international office interviewed me.
yeah.
And then they asked more of behavioral questions. Yeah. So they will ask you, tell me about your experience handling like stress.
yeah.
Have you, because it's an international office, tell me about your experience working with international students or working in an international space. Um, Tell me about how you manage multiple tasks. So most of the questions were behavioral wise, and so you have to leverage on your experience and
Mm,
do a lot of reflections. Because if and one thing that doesn't help we Ghanaians is that we don't do reflection at all. So we
mm,
do a lot of things, but we don't pay attention to them. We just do it. That's all. But so if you have this kind of interview that you have been asked behavioral, questions, and then you can't seem to articulate your experience very well,
yeah.
you miss it. You mess up. And
Mm,
that's very unfortunate in our schools because here, one thing I've realized, I almost every week I have to submit a reflection paper about my experience, which
mm,
is in my course. Most of the assignments are reflection, like reflection. Read a book, reflect on the book, and write a summary.
wow.
Do a critical reflection on like a project. Go and witness a project and write a critical reflection on it.
Mm,
So right now, I'm able to articulate my experience very well at every point in time if someone asks me. But at that point, luckily for me, because I have applied a lot of schools, so I've done a lot of interviews prior to that.
mm,
And so I've articulated my
yeah.
questions and answers very well,
Yeah.
read them very well. And so I was able to, deliver as
Wow.
expected. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do in your current job?
So I work with the Office of Global Engagement, more or less like the
Okay.
international office. So
Mm,
the main thing that I do is that one of the activities that I do is I conduct study abroad presentations. So
mm,
for students who are already here, American students who want to go and
mm,
study abroad, I do that presentation as to how they will apply it, navigating through the application process and the scholarship available and opportunities, programs that are available in different countries for them to apply. So that is one aspect of the job. And then the second aspect is that I respond to emails, international prospective students who email our international office expressing interest in our programs. And, you know, surprisingly, when I see Ghanaian and Nigerian email, I'm able to identify that this is coming from Ghana or Nigeria. We are so much alike. And there's always one question that we ask. I don't know. I was also asking the same question when I started applying. So,
What was that
And
question?
I mean, they ask general question like they will start by like, "Hi, I'm so so and so. I'm interested in the program. Can you tell me about the application process and then the funding available? And then am I? Can you give me an application waiver?" That's I mean that's the question most of our Ghanaians and Nigerians they ask. Unlike
Yeah,
other like European countries, like Asian countries, who will be very much assess program specific questions that needed. So, and then the trick is that when they ask me like specific questions, because I'm a guided assistant, I may not have the answer. So I would forward it to my supervisor who will answer to those specific questions. But Ghanaians and Nigerians, most they ask like the general questions and all that. We have templates. So those generic questions, I just use the templates to
forward.
answer
Uh,
forward and then copy and paste and just do some adjustment to it and respond. Because that's the most of the question. That's the question that they ask. But if you ask me a program specific question, sometimes I have to connect you to the program coordinator
yeah, yeah.
for them to
Yeah, because of what I
answer.
do, I keep telling them to stay away from all those emails where they're asking for waivers and all these free application fees stuff, but they don't listen. It's
Yeah,
hard, but the thing is that instead of wasting 2 years chasing free application fees, why don't you use 1 year, invest the money well and get something, and come, but
yes,
they just won't listen. Yeah. The job you actually do, I did a similar one when I was at Ohio University.
okay,
So I was working for Global Health and I was more like a
okay,
researcher and they were more or less in charge of study abroad stuff. So students go to Africa
yeah,
and then when they come, we do surveys and we have to go into the survey and then try to understand, you know. And there was a time that I discovered something. So it's like I think they went to Kenya. So when they went to Kenya, so some of the things that shocked them, right, more like cultural shock, was the fact that in Kenya, when the government does something for people, they are so happy, even though these are things that is their right. It's theirs, but the people make it look like the government is doing them a favor. So that
yeah,
shocked the people. It's like how do you celebrate this, right? So yeah, this
yeah,
is many years ago actually. Yeah.
yeah. And I also do administrative stuff.
Mm,
Collating data for international students,
yeah.
and with tracking international students' data and all that. Yeah.
Mm. Which means you have a fair idea of how many Africans or Ghanaians in your school, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know the number of international students in my school.
Mm.
Ghanaians, yeah. For Africans, I'm not too sure, but for Ghanaians and the total number of international
What is that?
students,
What is the number
of international students or Ghanaians.
like of Ghanaians?
Okay, Ghanaians, we are only four students and then
Oh
two
wow.
professors. Yeah.
Huh.
I mean,
How do you manage? Because I feel like that's not cool. Like when there are not
yeah,
many.
the school actually, the total population is like 1,200, like
Uh
12,000. So, yeah.
yeah, it's not big.
12,000.
Yeah.
And then I think is originally a comprehensive school. It's not too big, but it's not too small as well.
Yeah,
There are a
it's
lot of
not too
programs
small. No,
here.
it's not too
Yeah,
small. Yeah.
it's not small. Yeah, but then because it is also in the mountains, is there's the next city, which is a small city, Asheville, is like an half drive away from here. So
Mm.
it's more or less like at ten no.
Yeah. So
And so
are you lonely? Do you feel lonely?
oh, sometimes yes, but then
Because you were, right?
but fortunately for me,
Uh,
we are three. This fall 24, there were three Ghanaians that came, and all of us are in the same class.
mm, okay.
And we came to meet one Ghanaian who
Wow.
happens to be my roommate.
Okay. Yeah, but still,
Yeah,
it's not easy. Huh?
it's not easy.
Because, hey, just for people.
It's a white
Huh?
area. It's a
Hey,
white area. So most of the times, I'll find myself being the only black.
man, yeah. My school, there are a lot of Ghanaians and Nigerians and all of that. But even still, you can actually tell that it's not easy. Like,
It's not easy.
loneliness is a
Yeah,
common thing. Wow.
yeah. But one thing I've observed is that I
Mm,
mean, to the best of my knowledge, I've not experienced any racism because the black population in this school is not even up to 10%.
wow.
But then the people are really nice.
Very
I
nice.
don't know
Okay.
why. Maybe it's a rural area, that's why. But People, I mean, white people greet me, like they smile at me. Like,
Mm.
I mean,
Nice.
I don't know if they want to encourage black people to
Yeah,
attend the
diversity.
school, but they have the
Yeah.
culture that is very welcoming. Like professors would pay attention
Mm.
to you if you need help and all
Mm.
that. They are very nice people. It's a very well cultured atmosphere here. I've never
Mm.
been felt like someone has discriminated
Yeah.
against me or yeah,
Mm.
all that
You,
sort.
you mentioned two Ghanaian professors. What do they teach?
One is teaching history, and one is into political science departments. So one is a history
Okay.
department, one is a political science department.
Okay. Nice. Tell me about your funding. It's not full funding, right?
Yes.
So what does it cover?
So the funding, I get paid for my assistantship. That's
Mm.
all. So it's here the funding is different from tuition. So tuition comes from the department. Funding is for your job. What do you do as assistant,
Mm.
graduate assistant? And so, I think I got a quarter scholarship in my fees,
Mm.
and then I get a stipends for my assistantship.
Okay.
So it's quite not so okay.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, it's because assistantship is also guaranteed. Once you get admission, you interview until you get somewhere somehow a
Some.
place,
Okay.
yeah, to get
To work.
assistantship.
Okay.
Yeah, but as I progress, I think I'm making a lot of applications for scholarship
Mm.
to to give me a better scholarship.
Mm. Is it a 2 year program?
Yes,
Mm. Okay.
the 2 year program.
Uh, I saw that you were working at the Office of Student Retention, and
Yeah,
then is that different from the global engagement?
yes. So
Okay.
this semester I'm interning with the Office of Student Retention, which I mentor 10 students.
Mm.
I have 10 students assigned to me. So it's a course that I'm teaching them, but it's a mentorship course. So these are
Mm.
academically at-risk students. They are not doing so well, so they are either on
Mm.
action plan or I mean they have only a semester left. If they don't improve, the school may dismiss them or suspend them.
Wow.
And so I had this one-on-one class with them, trying to identify the challenges that they face and how best they can navigate through their challenges to become, to go back to good academic standing.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I enjoy it very much because I mean that's what we are doing that I was doing as a teaching assistant because people will come to our office and say they are going through challenges. So in Ghana in UCC used to support students. I didn't know it was well here it is well
Yeah.
defined, well structured in
Yeah.
context. Here is a course that they are taking. But in Ghana we do a lot of things for free.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Are you paid for doing the internship?
No.
Okay.
But I think it's fair enough because I mean the
Yeah.
school is paying me for 20 hours for my GHM.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
cannot, even if they want to, they can't because it will be
Yeah.
against my visa, blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
That's yeah. Yeah. So tell me about your visa interview. Why do you think? Obviously, you had funding, which was better than the first funding you had, which led you
Yeah,
to, yeah, which led to the denial of your visa. So this time around, do you think you did something else beyond the funding, extra funding you got?
I did a lot of things right.
Mm.
When I went after my denial in Cote d'Ivoire,
Yeah.
because with that background, I was going to read communication
Mm.
and I got denied.
Mm.
So this one, I've changed the program, I've changed the school, I've changed the country. Now I'm going to do it at Ghana because I can't afford that cost again to go to Cote
Yeah.
d'Ivoire. So, and I've changed my sponsor as well.
Okay.
And so I knew that these questions will pop up. Why? Because I made a lot of changes, and making
Yeah. A lot
those
of
lot
changes.
changes will make you seem
Yeah.
desperate. You
Yeah.
want to
It's
find
not
any
helpful.
way to just. It's not helpful. So I
Mm.
knew that I had to prepare extra, extra,
Uh,
extra. And so when I got there, Ghana, I remember I even got lost trying to locate the embassy. I used Google Maps, but I didn't know that I was passing. I always get to the back of the embassy.
uh,
So Google Maps will tell that this is the location, but I can't see anybody. I mean, they
you don't
say
see
that
any
Accra
entrance.
people
Yeah.
are always there, right? People are there
Yeah.
in queues. So it took me like uh, over 20 minutes, navigating
Uh,
around the embassy to
yeah.
locate. Yeah, I said, oh wow, this. So Apparently, when I got there, my interview was for 10. I had to start my interview 10 o'clock. I got there like 9 something.
Mm.
9 something, yes. So when I got there, they had not started interview yet for
Mm.
even for the 8, 7 a.m. people. But
Yeah.
when I got, as soon as I got there, the security told us that those going, those having their time at 10 a.m. will start today. That was
Mm.
about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes time after I've arrived. I said, wow.
Yeah.
And so we were the first batch to start the interview. So, and then the seven, and then the 8 people, 9 people join us from the back.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
when we get there, my first question, apparently, 3 people were in front of me. For the first, I mean, first 3 people was in front of me. The first
Mm.
person got denied. The
Oh.
second person got denied. The third one was an elderly woman who couldn't even speak English, so they had to bring an interpreter.
Mm.
And I mean, those people they easily get their visa
Yeah.
because they can't
They're not
even
going to.
speak the English.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she got approved. Very old woman. So once she got approved, I said, yes, this one I
Yeah.
have to get approved. So when I got there, the first question was, why? I think why this program?
Mm.
But when I was talking, the viewer wasn't even looking at me because I think she was still talking with the interpreter. At that time, she had approved the person
Mm.
who had the interpreter there, so she was still having some
Yeah.
discussion with the interpreter. So when she asked me the questions, she just still having the
Yeah. Looking
interpreter. So
elsewhere.
when she
Mm.
looked, she turned back, and I saw her looking at her screens, and then she looked at me and she told me that you were here last year, and I said yes. You have changed your program. You wanted to read mass communication. She said it to me. You wanted to go into read mass communication,
Yeah.
and you have changed your program. You have changed your school too. So when she was talking about the
Wow.
change, I cut the video,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be in charge because she was asking me a lot of things, and I didn't want to become,
Yeah. Wow.
shivering and all that. So I took the
Yeah.
conversation from the video. So I
Wow.
barged in and said that yes, I've changed the school, I've changed the program, and even the country. But then this is why. So I started to tell him about my TA-ship, the roles that I do, mentoring
So can you
students.
tell me exactly what he said? Because it's interesting to me
Okay,
if you can remember what
okay,
he
I
said. Yeah.
remember. So I told me that yes, officer, I've made a lot of changes to my application this time
Mm.
because throughout my experience as a teaching assistant, I've been providing support, mentorship, and advising students. And engaging students, I've realized that most often student performance drop in class and not necessarily because they are not able to even concentrate.
Mm.
It's not necessarily like the concept, but most of them,
Yeah.
when I get to engage them, is about issues of residence life, issues of financial aid, issues of advising, and
Yeah.
sometimes registration and courses that they took. So, in my quest to understand these challenges and help them navigate through, I've developed a strong passion for the pursuit of a career in student affairs. And then, so I did a lot of research, and I found out that America has a program that is designed for this particular career. So that is why I applied to the school and got the admitted into the school.
Mm.
And then so she said, okay, she was nodding, trying to follow my story. She looked at her screens. So I guess she was tracing my last year job portfolio,
Mm.
my previous year job portfolio, which is also a teaching assistant. And then the duties were almost the same.
Mm.
So when she looked at that, and she looked at me and told me that, so you have been working as a teaching assistant? And I said, yes, officer. I've been working as a teaching assistant, and as part of my roles, I teach these courses. I provide support for students. I mentor and advise students. I engage them sometimes. So I was channeling my answers to the fact that it's not only about teaching that I do, but
Yeah.
I provide that kind of support for students. So she
Mm.
was nodding. So she kept nodding. She kept nodding and she started typing here and there. And then she raised her head and asked me, so how are you funding your
Mm.
education? So I
Yeah.
said that I've gotten a graduate assistantship. And then she asked me, she said, yes, I can see that you have assistantship. How are you funding your
Deficit.
living?
Yeah.
How are
Living
you funding
expenses.
I think, how are you funding your living expenditure? Yeah, she was very adamant about it. And so I got confused because actually the living expenditure It's one of the stipends of my GA. We use
Yeah.
technically it is my tuition that is making the deficit there.
Okay.
So, but then I had to also be answer the question as adamant as I can, or as straightforward. So I said that my deficits will be covered by my brother who is into the importation of agricultural machinery, and I knew that I had to be specific. So
Yeah.
I got some machinery such as plow, tractor. So I kept on mention, I kept on mention to make the viewer know that it is actually true, and
Yeah.
I'm saying it.
That makes
So I kept
sense.
on
Yeah.
mentioning, she's into it. So she had the store that imports agricultural machinery such as plow, tractors, and the likes. I kept on mentioning. So as I was saying, she just cut me and said, "Hey," she said that I've already approved your visa. Take this.
Nice.
And when I came
That's
out,
yeah.
so I was, I was in a state of shock. I couldn't believe it myself. So when I was coming out, the security man there saw me and said that, "Oh, once one year denial." I said, "No, I'm gotten
Is it
approved." I said,
man?
"Wow, you are the first person to have your visa approved."
Wow. Wow, nice. Congrats. Congrats.
Yeah.
So who did you call when you were approved?
I mean, so I was staying at Cape Coast. Obviously, I was a
Mm.
TA, so I
Yeah.
went to sleep with my friend, my former roommate,
Mm.
Frederick. And so once I got approved, he was the first person I called because
Mm. Yeah.
he was always encouraging me throughout the night. So I called
Mm.
him, and surprisingly, when I called him, the first thing he said that, "When you approve," I said, "Oh yes." I said, wow. After that,
Nice.
I had to call my mother and my family to tell
Nice.
them that I've
Mm.
been approved.
Yeah. I have enjoyed this a lot. I have learned so much from your journey. Like it's really incredible. There are certain things that I want to ask, right? And
Yeah,
these are more like your opinion. This is very important to me because of some of the questions that I get, and also sometimes I give my opinion on certain issues. But then it's always better to hear from other people, like, right? So that people will know,
yeah,
okay, maybe yeah, Shaibu didn't get the whole thing right, or maybe Shaibu is too worried about certain things. So I just want your opinion.
yeah.
Students ask me a lot about loans. What is your take on loans? Do you think so? Let's say my cost of attendance is 50,000, and I decide to go for a loan of 50,000. Do you think it's a good idea?
Loans, I would say, should be the last resort,
Mm,
because I mean it's good that you get a loan. It will take you like it will not make you worry like I worry here because of my
yeah,
deficits.
yeah,
Yeah, but then you should know that if you intend to stay in America after school, if you want to get a job or like do a PhD after that, get a job, you should know that you pay. You definitely
yeah,
have to pay back.
yeah. Do you think it's easy
Uh,
to pay the $50,000 back?
It's so easy. I mean, considering the fact that you may get, even if you get a good job, I mean, making that commitment, 50,000
Yeah,
commitment is not easy. So I
yeah,
would say that you should do as much as possible to secure funding. And if not,
mm,
even after yeah, let's say you took a loan, when you come to the school, you have to even talk to the department and see funding
mm,
opportunities there. And even
yeah,
if you don't get for, let's say, the first year, the second year, or the second semester, I mean, perform well and use
yeah,
that as a leverage and get a funding so that you can offset the loan, and then with the funding you can work and start paying the interest of the loan.
yeah,
I mean, if you get a loan for only a year, let's say instead of 50,000 you make it like 20,000 commitments, and by the time you had, let's say, funding for the second year, you start making commitment to the interest of the loan, and so by the time you complete school, at least you'll be better off than taking a loan for the whole 2 years
yeah,
and then accruing all the interest because you have not also paid the interest and all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you had taken a loan before coming to the US, given everything you know now, do you think you would have regretted it?
Well, perhaps I will. Yeah, perhaps I will because I too have it. Like when I came here, I had a deficit only in fees, like it's a almost like 8,000 in fees deficits. So I considered taking a loan, but then my school, I could not take a loan because they are not empowered, doesn't sponsor my school, so
Mm,
I opted not. But then I'm not okay, but I'm better. I know
yeah,
I will be okay after
yeah, you will.
my
Yeah,
summer and all that. So I perhaps I may have regretted, but even if I wanted to take a loan, I would have taken like only 5,000. I wouldn't go
Mm,
high too high because I know when I came here, I understood the demands, the bills, and all that. Because when you're in
yeah,
Ghana, you think that, oh, I can take a loan, I'll get job, I'll get and pay. But when you come here and then you are exposed to the bills, that's the commitment that you have to make, then you will consider that is loan really worth it.
yeah, yeah. You've when you normally when we come, we get people to advise us and all of that. What will you consider your best advice so far since you arrived in the US?
Yeah, so my roommate was a Ghanaian. It's a Ghanaian. And so
Mm,
when I came, the first thing that he told me that get your documentations. So actually, he has a car, so he drove me to the Social Security office and also the county office to get my ID and all that, even before
mm,
school started. And that has been
yeah,
the best advice that I mean, because I was the first international student to get my Social Security, to get my state
mm,
ID and all that. Some
yeah,
here haven't even gotten their state ID.
mm,
So the best advice that I have gotten is getting my documentation as ready even before school even started.
mm, yeah. And what's your opinion on credit cards? Do you use a credit card?
Yeah, I use credit cards. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say credit card is not bad because I mean, if you have some fees to pay like me,
Mm,
you will need credit cards to survive.
yeah,
Except that you have to make that necessary commitments, monthly commitments. I mean, which
yeah,
is not too much to
yeah,
ask. And so credit card, I would say is very good. It's good
yeah,
to use credit card.
yeah.
It's very good
That's
because
true.
it will build your credit score as well
Yeah, that's
if you
true.
are making that necessary commitment. So I will
Mm,
encourage everybody to use credit card when they come
that's true.
here
Yeah.
because it's
When
like a free money.
yeah, yeah, it helps a lot. Yeah, at the beginning, yeah, you just have to be careful, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that your roommate, was he the one who picked you up from the airport? And
Yes. So
okay,
because I got assistantship at the international office,
mm,
and then knowing that he was the only Ghanaian here, so they connected me to him. And so I started talking with him even when I was in Ghana. So he secured accommodation for me and
mm.
also came to pick me up from the
Who
airport.
who connected you to him
International office.
in the
When
international
I got
office? Okay.
the assistantship there, so they
Yeah.
knew that I was coming to work for them.
Ah, okay.
So they started helping me from there.
Yeah, that's nice. Is there something you wish you knew before coming to the US?
I wish, I wish I knew the context. I would say the context because there are a lot of things that I was in Ghana that I thought that when I came here is different, especially when it comes to financial wise.
Mm.
So there's a lot of perception out there in Ghana that so when someone comes to America, the person is going to be rich, even if the person is a student. Oh, when you go
Ah,
there, oh,
yeah,
and then most often too, I think people here also say that a lot. That oh,
yeah.
they bra and one, oh, they also will
That's misleading. Yeah,
yeah.
that's misleading.
So,
Yeah,
so they'll tell you, oh, the answer will room. The answer visa no
yeah,
when you visa nine no
yeah,
one. But
yeah,
then you will come here, especially if you are not on full funding,
yeah,
and then you realize that you have some fees to pay before you can even register.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so you feel it. You be going to the financial aid office, you'll be going to this office, you'll be going to this, or you'll be stranded. And then when you call people in Ghana, they will tell that oh abuchela who
yeah,
complain.
yeah,
So
yeah,
even getting someone to even, I mean, your family or your friend, or even if you have a girlfriend or your partner to even have that kind of consolation, they cannot simply understand the context.
they won't understand. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and then if you
it's
call someone
brutal.
here, if
Yeah,
you call someone here to in America too, they will tell you that so about so what you think what guy like that, oh friend, I see, so what will you do? So
yeah, that's
so
true.
it makes you feel that oh my
Yeah,
god. So I wish I knew, and I'm telling folks out there, it is good to travel, it is good to come to
yeah,
America. There are a lot of opportunities out here. But then you should know that, especially if you don't have full funding, you should know that
yeah,
when you come here for starters, for the first
yeah,
year, first 6 months, you will
yeah,
struggle.
yeah.
But just that the thing is that you know that I mean there's opportunity there. So you know that the struggles will end some way, somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's assurance will keep you
Yeah,
going.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. That's good. I don't like people say making it look like, oh, once you come it's enjoyment. Yeah, there are opportunities. Yeah, things will be better than the reality is that there are actually people here who are suffering more than if they were in Ghana, or like more than
Yeah,
people in Ghana. It's not easy because here it's not just financial issues that some students go through, but
yeah,
also
isolation.
emotional,
Yeah,
academic. People have reached out to me struggling academically and like
yeah.
a whole lot of things. So yeah, I mean,
If you don't
sometimes,
get it, if you don't get the transition right,
yeah,
especially in academics, you
that's
suffer.
true. Yeah,
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 because you don't understand their system, the grading system, for the
yeah,
expectations and all that.
yeah,
So it makes you suffer. And then one of the things that makes you struggle a lot is when you are talking with somebody like a family member, like let's say if you have a girlfriend also or a boyfriend, they don't understand the context you are
yeah.
speaking from.
No, they won't. They won't.
And so it makes you
Uh,
really mad that
yeah,
you are suffering day and night. It's the
yeah,
weather, like it's winter, it's so cold
yeah,
out there. I mean, we have negative freezing temperatures
yeah.
and all that. And so if you tell somebody, oh, it was cold, though, the person will tell that, oh, America, I will complain.
What were you expecting?
What are you expecting?
Alright.
It's like negative 15 degrees and you have to
Yeah,
go to school.
yeah,
Sometimes there's blood coming from
yeah,
your nose. And
yeah.
then let's say you have a family member, you are telling your cousin, or let's say your girlfriend or your boyfriend or someone in Ghana that this is what you're going through. And the only thing the person could tell you that, oh, now quite America, I went and on, and then I was expecting. And it's making so some wave is
Yeah,
really?
yeah. So some of this is it's very difficult to explain it. If you're not
Yeah,
here, yeah, no matter what somebody says, you just won't
yeah,
understand.
yeah.
And
So
it's understandable, like for them, for you to understand the way they think, because if we're in Ghana and then somebody here telling us the same thing, we'll be like, oh no, guys,
yeah, but the
you
thing is that
understand,
if I was in Ghana, I would say the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's not easy. It's
Someone
not
told me
easy.
that that Bloomer said that according to Muslim Yanka, what according to Muslim, okay, to be on TLC.
Yeah, yeah. So some people, as soon as they arrive, they just end their relationship. If it's not
Yes,
marriage, people will just, because when they come and then they see the
yes,
reality, they are like, man, I
yes,
can't combine this and then somebody in Ghana. And
exactly.
also some of the people, sometimes you are in a relationship with somebody, you don't know what's going on, and it's like, man, like,
Yeah,
so you want to run away. So it's
yes,
always this
yes.
life,
So when I
man.
came here, I understood a lot of things that people shun people not because it's intentional,
Yeah,
but they just
sometimes
simply can't because you always have to explain
eh,
and they don't understand.
they
So
won't,
and the
they
more
won't
you explain,
understand.
they can't understand. So you just have to
Yeah,
let it.
yeah. Because like here, assignments alone every week, you have assignments every week. It's like writing, writing, writing every week, and you don't have the time. And then
Like
somebody is
even
in Ghana
I'll call
disturbing
you,
you, like,
ask you for money, like as
uh,
if
Charlie,
when I
you.
came 2 weeks into when I came here, 2 weeks into when I came here, where I have a lot of deficit that I don't
Yeah,
even know. I've applied for credit card. Credit card is not in.
yeah.
Like
I
I
take care of how
haven't
to
registered.
pay.
I
Yeah,
needed to register, and for me to get a message from, I mean, my classmate, my university classmate, that
yeah.
he's going through a lot of trouble, so I should send him money. And I said, but it's only been 2 weeks since I came to America. And he said, oh, yes, but you are in America, so at least send me some money. I said, I haven't started working. We haven't even started school yet.
Yeah. They think the money is on the ground. As soon as you arrive, just pick and then send it to them.
I've
Right.
spent over 30,000 in plane tickets and preparation to travel. And it's
Yeah.
only barely 2 weeks, and you're asking me for money. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
but
the
then I
thing.
have to understand because the
Yeah.
context is different.
Yeah. So, given your journey, how the fact that you had to start from 2021, and then you
Yeah,
made some mistakes. I remember you mentioned the fact that you started by applying to only free application fee schools, and then
yeah,
also you were applying to big schools. So
yeah,
those were two things that I actually can remember you said about some of the mistakes. So with
yeah,
all that you know now, right, all the mistakes that you've made and all of that, and eventually ending up here with a GA. Let's say I've been trying for 2 years and all I get is admission. You got about 30 admissions.
yeah,
What will you recommend? What do you think I have to work on? What do I have to change? And what do I need
yeah.
to do
So
to get a GA?
So what I will say is that those free applications they make a lot of noise, and mostly it's the big schools that does that.
Mm,
Like I know like Georgia State, like Harvard, like those big
yeah.
schools just give waivers and all that. So I mean, I wouldn't say you shouldn't apply. I mean, people still get funding from there, right? So, but you have to leverage on your own experience and also what you intend to achieve. So you have to go for specific schools that see and specific programs that you have a leverage, you have a lot of experience in,
Yeah.
and then you use and take advantage of emails. You don't just apply with the free school. People just apply, apply, apply.
Yeah.
No, I've come to realize that you have to send specific email, code emails to program coordinators. Let them give you the assurance that there is funding opportunities before you even decide to apply.
Yeah.
So that you know that the schools that you are applying, there's this kind form of assurance that there are funding opportunities. So
Yeah.
chances are that you will get funding rather than just applying to free schools regardless of whether they have funding or not, and just praying to God on how far hour to for God to intervene for you to get funding. I mean, sometimes it works, but it's one out of million, right?
Yeah.
So send emails to specific schools, reflect on your experience, use your experience as a leverage, send emails highlighting some of your experiences, your specific experiences that align with the program, and then you read about the program mission and vision of the program, especially read about the program and tailor your experience to the program, and let the coordinator know that you are actually interested in the program because of the program outcomes, program outlines, and all that. So once
Yeah.
they know that your interest matches the program. And so make inquiries. Once they give you the assurance that they have funding opportunities available, and then you apply. And after applying you send the coordinator email that you have applied, and time in, time out, you intentionally send a specific question to remind the coordinator that you are still in the
Yeah.
pool, and so it makes them think that, oh, I mean, you are a good candidate. You want to come here. And it shouldn't only be about funding, funding, funding. No, you can ask about, the statistics, how many international students are there, just something that you ask to keep the email flowing. So
Yeah.
for me, before I got here, like if I go to my email chat, like over 20 communication between me and the program coordinator before I came here. So I
Wow.
mean, so when I came here, I shoot him an email that I'm here. I think I came here on the 5th August, and school resumed on the 20th of August. So I mean, and then he sent me an email that I should come to his office and let's hang out.
Mm,
So
nice.
I went there, and then we hung out and all
Wow.
that because we have had that kind of exchanges
Yeah.
through email even when I was in Ghana.
Yeah.
So build that kind of rapport. You can set
Yeah.
up, let's say, a virtual meeting with the coordinator. They are there. They will
Mm,
send in their email signature, you will see that schedule appointment with me. So you can just shoot an email. I want to schedule appointment with you. You should go ahead. You schedule, and then you just talk about your experience and why you're interested in the program. These
yeah.
things are all that matters that can give you funding.
Mm,
And so be specific, even if it is three schools. Make sure that you have that kind of relationship with the program coordinator.
yeah.
Yeah, I will say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Some of these coordinators, they're actually lonely. They live a lonely life, but
Yeah.
then they receive a lot of emails. So how do they choose like who they should respond to? And sometimes they get a lot of emails. Right. Like
Yeah.
in one program, maybe 200 people are applying. So do you respond to 200 emails, like, right? But then
Yeah.
if you distinguish yourself, then they are more likely to pay attention to you and build that kind of
Yes.
rapport with you. Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
if you tailor your email to suggest
Yeah.
that, oh, like you have done your
Yeah.
research about the program,
Mm-hmm.
not the generic questions
Yeah.
about application process, are there
Yeah.
funding? No, you have to tailor. So
Yeah.
this is me, I've done
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
and then you have to find something about the program that interests you, that is catchy. That is
Yeah.
me. I remember I sent an email that as an so in my email I said that as an early career person because I'm not in the student affairs profession.
Mm,
So I and I haven't read about your program. I realized that you have four different experience because two career assistantship, 2 year career assistantship experience, and also two different internship opportunities. So these four different experience will actually help me, especially
Yeah.
as I've not been in student affairs. So this has
Mm,
really, ignited my interest for this program. So when the
mm.
coordinators see this, and it is in their
Yeah.
website that you have four different
Yeah.
opportunities, practical experience. So when so when the coordinator read it, automatically he will say that,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I mean this guy is
Yeah.
really serious
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
program.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, and I this free application fee thing, I don't know how many times I have to tell students. Some students, that's all they are looking for. I keep telling them it doesn't work like that. If you are chasing these things, like especially if your GPA is not above 3.5 and you're chasing free application fee, you are going to waste your time. If your GPA is above 3.5, yeah, then you can probably try,
For me, my
because
GPA
yeah.
is very high. When I do the WES,
Mm,
oh my god, almost 3.9. But
yeah,
then
wow. Wow.
so with the free application,
Yeah,
I only get partial funding because I have a good GPA.
yeah.
So
Wow. I mean, just looking at your GPA, which is almost 3.9, and then how you struggle, it doesn't even make sense to me, right? But this is the
yeah,
reality. Somebody would
this
be
is
like,
the
ah, but
reality.
how yeah, this is the reality.
And especially if you are coming from a business background as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you're applying for MBAs, MBAs
Yeah.
highly competitive, and it's not only the GPA that counts, right?
Yeah.
Experience also counts, especially with
The
MBA
GMAT and all those things. Yeah,
and
the
the
experience
GMAT
too. Yeah.
and GRE.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even if you get me, I got a lot of funding, but partial. Like I
Yeah.
can get like 25,000 funding, and I'll go and see the deficit like 30,000. So, oh,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and one thing I also tell some students is that depend on your background. Sometimes you don't want to try to do the same thing in the US. You want to look at something closely related to what you did. So
yeah,
just like in your case, instead of become a business program, you decided to pivot it towards something closer to be your current job in a way, and
yeah.
that, yeah, and now you are here. So once you're done with the program, if you still want to do something business because you're already in the US, yeah, you can easily do that, because when you're in the country already, you have some advantage. So that was a good thing, yeah.
That's
But
what
you
I've been
personally,
telling.
mm, yeah, go
That's what
on.
I tell folks to do to find if your program is not saving you, find
Yeah,
a related program and apply and
that's
see.
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you personally, if you had to go through the process again, is there something that you think you would
yeah,
change?
definitely,
Okay.
definitely. If I'm going through the process again, I think I will get full fund.
Yeah. Not.
I would
Yeah.
identify schools that have. I'll do a lot of research about the schools that provide full tuition and GA,
Mm,
and then I would send a strategic email or a code email to the program coordinators, schedule appointment with them, even as far as let's say August,
mm,
to
yeah.
explain my experiences and why the school will help me, become the person that I want to be in the future.
Yeah.
To tell them about my experience and all that. And then
Mm,
seek advice from the coordinator. These I've come to realize that working with them, they are very open-minded person, and
yeah.
then they are driven by interest, by perspective. If you have an interest that align with their program or with their vision or whatever, they easily give you those answers that
Yeah.
you require. So I'll ask them
Yeah.
how best I can navigate. And then before I apply, I'll make sure that I'll share an appointment with all the program coordinators. Make sure they know me as a person and know my interest and the perspective
Yeah.
that I'm bringing on board
Yeah.
before I apply. And so once I've applied, I'll still communicate. And now and I also recommend that programs that require interviews, people should take advantage of those programs.
Mm,
Because if you prepare very well, do the interview very well, chances are that you get a funding. A
mm.
program that do not require interview, you have to depend on God because there are a lot of people have applied. So you don't know, you get admission, you're all praying. But programs that require interview, once you do the interview, you will know. If
Mm,
for me, for example, with the international office, after the interview, I knew that I've gotten it
mm, ah,
because I mean the interview went well. I mean it was cool. So you take advantage of programs that require interview. Prepare very well because this time it's like you are coming to defend or you are coming to prove why you deserve the
yeah.
funding. So it's an
Yeah.
opportunity for you to tell them whatever you have. And information is power, and you have the information.
Yeah.
And so instead of applying with the program that you are just there because it's only about CV, everybody can write. You cannot
Yeah.
be the only person who have the best CV. I mean,
Mm.
thousands of people from all over the world are submitting the CV. They have people have working
Yeah.
experience, especially those of us who doesn't have practical working experience, who is coming
Mm.
from, let's say, being a TA. Some even apply even when they are in level 400 and all that.
Mm. Yeah.
But with the interview, you're able to present yourself in a way that seem very high. I mean, candidature.
Yeah.
You present your candidature to them, and then once you get a good interview, you get a funding. That's
Yeah.
what I'll
That's
tell
true.
friends.
Yeah. Are there certain schools that you really like in the US that in future, or if you are giving somebody an advice, you tell them to look at?
Yeah, yeah. Coming here, I've realized that it's good to go to the city schools because there are a lot of opportunities in the city schools,
Mm.
like the big schools, like the R1 schools, and then also like the state schools. The state schools give have a lot of opportunities out there. So if I would encourage folks to focus on those schools,
But are they
the
not too
risk
competitive?
they are highly competitive,
Yeah.
highly competitive.
Because
So
you want to
that's what
stay
I'm
away
saying
from
that
the. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying that most of these schools also some of the programs they do interview a lot.
Mm.
So that's what I'm saying that you have to start by booking appointment with program coordinators, let them know how a candidate. I have one friend who
Mm.
told me that we started applying, but he came before me because
Mm.
he was so good. What he did was that so after 2021 didn't go well for us. In 2023, he came in 2023. So in the application for the 2024 2023, he made sure that he had an appointment, virtual appointment with all the program coordinators.
Mm.
And the
Wow.
program that they doesn't require because he was applying to program that doesn't require interview because you know that this program doesn't require interview. And he was a UCC treasurer. He has a lot of experience in leadership and all that. So he's very good in communicating, and that is his strength. So what he does is that he will book a
Ah.
virtual appointment with the coordinators, program that doesn't require interview, and then use that as though an interview, share his experience and read about make a research about the program. And so within the 30 minutes, that is his
Yeah.
interview, presenting his candidature to the coordinator.
Ah. Mm.
And that made him get funded.
Mm. Ah.
So it's not only about the CVs and all that. He has done a background, interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So let me ask you this: if I receive, let's say, $20,000 out of a cost of attendance of $50,000, do you think it's a good idea to process my visa if my parents cannot sponsor my studies?
20,000 out of 50,000. So
50,000.
making
Yeah.
30,000 deficit.
Yeah.
Oh, I would say it depends. But once
Mm,
you have 20,000 under your belt, I think it's a good start.
mm.
It's a good
Do you think I
start.
can survive with a 30,000 deficit? Where will I find it? Where will I get the money to pay?
So there are exceptional circumstances. It all
Okay.
depends on you as a person, what you believe. I have a
Mm,
friend who had no funding.
yeah.
He went to Cote d'Ivoire, did an interview, and
Mm,
got get the visa, got to the
yeah.
school. I mean, the deficit was over 30,000.
Mm,
He went to the department,
yeah.
book appointment with the program coordinator
Mm,
before he went to the school, I think in the spring semester, and then had a discussion with the program coordinator. And then he took advantage of that discussion, tell the program coordinator about their interest. So he started by,
yeah.
how the program is nice, how the program will help him achieve his
Mm,
experiences as a teaching
yeah.
assistant and all that. And then eventually he brought in the funding situation and how, if there are any funding opportunities out there. And
Mm,
then subsequently, before the end of the week, he got
yeah.
assistantship.
Yeah.
So there are situations that you will get the funding when you come
Mm,
here.
yeah.
So I would say that if you really want to come
Take
to
the risk.
America, and
Yeah.
that's the only school that you have applied, which I don't advise that you apply to one school.
Yeah.
But if that's the only school that you have that kind of funding, you can proceed
Mm,
with, and then you have to be very confident because when you come here, I mean, the atmosphere, the white people, and all that, sometimes you feel intimidated. But
yeah.
you need funding, so you have to step up your game.
Mm,
Look
yeah.
for the funding wherever it may
Yeah.
be, consult people, go to financial aid, go to program
Yeah.
coordinator, talk with people. I mean,
Yeah.
once you have the visa, you can get funding.
Yeah. I have seen people without funding. When I was in Ohio University years ago, I saw people who came. There were people who came as soon as they came. They reached out to the departments and then they got funding. There was even somebody that I helped that I was with and all of that. And so I made him go to departments and then he got funding in the spring semester. Like all these things are there. But then I've also seen people who came without funding and then the way they struggled, it was brutal. So it
Yes,
depends. I think it depends on you, the
yes,
individual.
exactly.
Sometimes, yeah, everybody's like is different. So if you want to take
Yeah,
the risk and come,
and
then yeah,
come.
why not?
You want to take the risk and come, you can take a risk and come because a year is too far.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have to stay for another 1 year,
yeah.
which I mean,
It's not easy. It's not
it's
easy.
not easy.
Yeah. Let's say I have admission and I'm waiting on funding. Is there something I need to do? People get admission and they wait for funding, right? So they reach out to me. Should I send an email? What should I do? Like, if I come to you, what will you tell me?
Yeah, so it's very dicey, but
Yeah.
then you sometimes you can't just wait because sometimes funding come late. I know
Mm.
someone, my friend, my mate, whose funding came as far as July.
Wow.
2 weeks to her interview. 2 weeks to her
Wow.
interview. That's when she got her assistantship, which was full funding. So she has zero funding. And I think that perhaps somebody got the funding and then the person opted to a different school, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. That happens
she
a lot. Yeah.
subsequently get the funding. That was
Mm.
2 weeks to her interview. So assuming
Wow.
that she had waited and there was no funding, and she has,
Yeah.
you know, closed her mind about it. I mean,
Yeah.
2 weeks, July. How do
Yeah.
you go about the visa application and get to the school in August?
Even getting the I-20 and all of that. Okay,
Yeah,
this time is straightforward. You just print it, but our time it wasn't like that. You have to receive the actual I-20.
yeah. But still, I mean, July, and then I think our time, there's always a year backlog. So,
Mm, yeah, yeah, it's
so
always, yeah. Now everybody
yeah,
is traveling. Everybody wants to travel.
exactly. So, supposing this, my friend had waited, I don't
Yeah,
think she could have make it to the school. But
yeah,
she got the visa application, everything. She prayed. She was hoping to get funding, even though there was
yeah.
slim
There was a
chances.
slim
But she
chance.
got a
Yeah.
funding in July, and
Mm,
then she had an interview in the same July because she had already booked everything. So she just
mm,
updated her CV, her I-20, and then
yeah,
went with it. So I would
mm,
say that it depends on you, your belief. Because it works for
yeah,
people, it doesn't work for any people. But
yeah,
then if you want to travel, you would want to believe that no matter the situation, that's why I'm saying that before you made the application, you had sent emails, make enquiries about funding. So if even it's 5 schools and all these 5 schools are giving the assurance that there's a possibility of you getting funded, then you know that I mean one out of five, there are chances
yeah,
that you may get funding
yeah,
from one of these
yeah,
institutions. And so once
yeah.
you get admission, you start your visa processing
Mm,
other than to just apply for free schools, just not make any
yeah,
enquiries and just
yeah,
sitting there waiting for funding
yeah.
to come
So
from nowhere.
while I'm waiting on funding, you recommend that I send an email, right? Or
Yes,
not?
yes, you
I
can
should
send
send
an
an email.
email
What should I say in the email?
to make enquiries.
Okay.
So you can just send an inquiry email. It demonstrates your passion for the program because you have gotten admission now. So you
Yeah,
have to let the coordinator knows that you are happy coming, and then
yeah,
you, like just like not necessarily you can't wait to come to the school, not literally, but say something that seems to suggest
yeah.
your profound interest in the
Mm,
program and how the program align with your career interest and what you have to offer the program as well. It's very necessary.
mm,
And they make that so inquiries that as an international student, filing your visa processes, funding is very key in your visa issuance. And so you want to make inquiries as to the possibility of you getting funding and the funding options that are available for you. And then the decision dates because of the direct impact funding have on your visa issuance or visa application. I mean, the coordinators too, they know that international
yeah,
students we suffer a lot. My coordinator even told us last time in class that it's not easy for one international student to come in because
Yeah.
of the how the visa process is. And so they understand the finance, but sometimes if you send them a specific email to remind them, then they will reply you. If there are funding opportunities, they will tell you that, well, they will tell the dates. If they are supposed to give it at particular dates, they will tell you.
Yeah.
If there are also funding available, they will sometimes do, they have given offers. People have not even replied whether they accept the funding or not.
Yeah.
And so when you remind them, you give them that kind of indication that, well, then let's give that person a date. If the person doesn't accept the
Mm,
offer, then we give it to you or
mm,
something like that.
mm,
So
yeah.
it's always good to email because that
Yeah.
is, they want to receive email, except that some of our emails are not good. But the program coordinators, they are happy to receive email because that is their job. They want people to
Mhm.
come because when the more people come to their program, the more they get money for the
Yeah.
program themselves.
Mm,
So they are always happy to reply emails, but sometimes our emails
yeah.
are not encouraging. And so we
Yeah.
don't even get the reply that we want.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, Richard, I have really enjoyed this and I've actually learned a lot. And I'm very sure my subscribers will appreciate this a lot. Where can they
Mhm.
follow you?
Oh, so I think it's only on LinkedIn. You can follow
Mm,
me on LinkedIn. Let
okay.
me let me
I'll share the link in the description of this video.
yeah. I hope
Mm,
I know you follow me on LinkedIn, so you can,
yeah.
maybe I don't
But
know if I
but
can.
are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok.
Are you
I'm
active
on
on
TikTok,
TikTok?
but I'm not that active in terms of
Okay.
this aspect.
Okay.
Yeah, but I post somehow. But I
Okay.
think I think from next academic year I will structure and
You
give
get some
some
time.
advice to
Mm.
students. But I have a WhatsApp group that I also prep
Oh, okay.
my
WhatsApp group. Okay.
some students, yeah, who are
Okay.
also going through
Do
the
you
same
want people to
process.
join your WhatsApp group or it's
Ye-
private? What, so
It's more or less like private, but then people
mm,
are welcome to
join.
join.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
people
I'll
are
take the
welcome to
link.
join.
I'll take that link and then the TikTok as well.
Yeah, yes,
Mm,
I'll share them with you so that you share with your subscribers. If I mean,
mm,
I'm always happy and ready to assist
mm.
folks,
Nice.
especially share my
Nice.
own perspective. And since I'm working with
Nice.
international office too,
Yeah.
it is my job to do that, right? So
Nice. Nice.